Hey, how we doing? This is a warm-up. This is a warm-up for, is it module four? I think it's module four of the Candle and Bonfire. I'm very excited. This is really where we take on an experimental mindset. This is where I said the rubber meets the road on the last one, and it's true because we unlocked something in the last one without which we wouldn't be able to do this one. That's how things work, brick by brick. But this is really where we start to change our lives. Because as they say in AA, discovery is not recovery. And so far, we've discovered a lot of interesting things, but we haven't quite recovered. Module four is going to be the recovery. We're going to rehab ourselves from a state of uh, quiet desperation and a status quo that we inherited from our commitments to not feel disappointment or rejection, our commitment to never feel embarrassed, our commitment to avoid our limits, to avoid failing, to avoid where we run into problems. You set your whole life up to avoid running into problems. You set your whole life up to have power, right? To have influence, to be able to know what the world is and navigate it so that we can have the impact that we want to have and so that we can have the experience we want to have. So we want to impact the world and we want the world to impact us. And not just any way. We want to impact the world in the way we want to impact it. We want it to impact us in the way we want to be impacted. So that's the whole project, that's the whole game. It's a good game. But really what we're always dealing with is the question of where does my power come from? As a baby, your power came from screaming and crying and complaining. As a grown up, your power came from knowing how the world worked, making some money, making some influence, knowing the law. So you can say, my power comes from having money. My power comes from physical strength. My power comes from the way my voice resonates and the influence I'm able to have on other people. I'm able to impress people. I'm able to intimidate people. I'm able to collaborate with and support and promote and champion other people. These are all different ways that we can relate to each other, and these are all examples of where different kinds and different levels of power come from. Hey, so the question is, where does your power come from? And depending on your stage in life, you might be thinking, well, my power will come around the corner when I get married, when I make this money, when I become a partner, whatever, when I pay my debts off, when I retire. I mean, everyone has this sort of like sense of what needs to happen next in their life. And that's good. And to say, well, I'll have power when that happens. When my child is okay, that's when I'll be powerful. So the thing is that actually our power always comes only in one moment, right? And either it comes or it doesn't. That moment is now. We're either inspired, energized, motivated, focused, attentive, and active and effective now or never. You're either all those things right now, alive, jubilant, curious, wondrous, in love with life, or you're not. Now, we're talking about a couple of different things, and there's some Venn diagrams here, but really, the, 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 the dream is to spend every waking moment of your life doing something that you love while building a better future for yourself and for others. So, if that's not the perfect life, I don't know what is. And the question is, what is keeping you from doing that? Is it someone else? Is it the passage of time? Are you waiting for something to happen before you can do what I just described? Or is it really like a matter of tools and habits and lessons and insights that need to be had, developed, created for oneself before that reality that I just briefly described can come to life? That's my impression. My impression is that it's certain insights that keep us more buoyant, that over time we're able to stay more centered. It's certain insights and tools that make it so that we have better access to energy when we need it, better access to focus. And in a way, we simultaneously, in the moment, generate more energy, generate more power. Our power comes from something somewhat mysterious. I mean, God is a pretty good shorthand for it, the universe. Our power comes from something that's outside of material conditions. It has to, because we can't wait for times to get better before we decide to step up. We need to step up when times are bad. And so we can't wait for material conditions to meet our standards or to befit our preferences. We need right now to get into a positive state. For any project that we need to, the worse situation you're in, the more you need to be in a positive state. So, how could that possibly be reconciled with waiting for something to happen before you enter a positive state? We walk around in a negative state, suffering, waiting for something to change, all the while knowing it's true that the state that we're in is actually bottlenecking the change that we want to see. We need more energy when times are bad, not less energy. So, power really comes from this more elevated approach to bad news, to disappointment, to not getting your way. That's where power comes from. It's not from getting your way. Power does not come from getting your way. It feels like it. It feels like when you get your way, now you're happy, now you're energized. That really is an illusion. It's very short lived. We know this. And it's like practice. It's level two. Level one is where you're just along for the ride, just watching the show. Level two is when you learn that you can actually manipulate things, and so you get good at it. You start predicting things and placing bets and looking at probabilities. But level three is really what we're talking about here. And so this has been the intro to module four, and I hope it's been enjoyable. I'm really looking forward to what you're about to experience in module four itself. Thanks.